In this video, radical things will take place. I want to build a VIP style Japanese big sedan, and I have ordered some 19 by 10 Weds chrome wheels from Japan. They are on their way, and now we are at JDM Outlet here in Vantaa, Finland, and I want to buy a car for my wheels. Let's go. At JDM Outlet, the customer service is always top level. Jalle showed us around. We had 4 different candidates of big Toyota sedans. They were all from the Crown family. There was 2 white ones, an older one and a newer one, and 2 black ones, also an older one and a newer one. We inspected them all thoroughly, but in my head I had already made up my mind. The 180 series in black was the car that I envisioned would fit our wheels the best. So in the end, that's the one that we made a deal for. So we have reached an agreement with Jalle from JDM Outlet about the black car here behind me, and our collaboration with JDM Outlet that has lasted for several years already on the digital marketing front is now taking a next level, and JDM Outlet is joining Grumblo in this giveaway campaign where one of you will win this car if you buy merch from the Grumblo shop. The car, the wheels, and all the other goodies that are coming along. This is just the beginning of this adventure, so stay tuned. The vision for this build, of course, revolves around the chrome Weds wheels that were at this moment on their way towards Finland from somewhere else in Europe. And the other key aspect of the build was going to be the NER air suspension provided by Isla, and my good friend Valtteri there had already spec'd the suspension for our car. It's the next day and it's time to start modifying the Crown. The first thing, of course, we need parts, and I have decided that this car needs to have air suspension, so we are visiting my good friend Valtteri from NER Suspension and Isla, and he has promised to advise us on the right products. So let's go check out his place and buy some parts. On site, we got a great educational tour to the world of air suspension. Valtteri showed us the different options on how to build from different components the setup for controlling the air shocks in the car. Of course, we have a very large vehicle in the Crown, so we went for the biggest air tank and double compressors. So this is the state-of-the-art setup from NER, and I'm sure this will be the one that gives the best drivability and also the best performance in being able to adjust the car's ride height swiftly from up to down whenever we need to do so. So we are looking at the NER suspension air setup, and this is exactly the setup that is going to go on the Crown with the black compressors. So Valtteri has given me a run through of all the components, and now I'm going to try to convey this information back to you, and Valtteri can correct me if I get something wrong. So basically, because we have a very large trunk in the car, we are going to use the biggest air reservoir. This is 5 gallons, 5 gallons large, and this is the one that Valtteri recommends for the double compressor setup. And it's also possible to get a single compressor setup with a smaller canister, but because we have a very large vehicle, it is better both for the compressors and for the usability to take double compressors. So we are going for the best setup in that case. And everything in this control/air unit is already here in stock here with Isla. So only the shock absorber is a model-specific product, but all of these other components we can already get today and start assembling everything in the trunk and underneath the car and pulling the electrics and everything like that. And then in 3 weeks we are going to get the actual shocks with the airbags, and then we can actually start lowering the car. But we have the control unit, which is both the brains of the setup and the block for the air valves. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
So this is going to get all the electrics in, and the antenna for the remote control that allows us to individually control the pressure in each 4 corners of the car. And then we can save the different settings for different ride heights. So adjusting the shock itself gives us the bottom height, and then the more pressure you add into the bags, the higher the car will ride, and we can save multiple settings in the system. And this is basically just the same as a normal coilover suspension, just the iron spring is replaced with the airbags, and these comes in different shapes and sizes depending on the car itself, what kind of space it has, etc. But really exciting to dive into this technology for the first time, and we will start carrying the packages into the car so we can get to work. Once all the components were selected, we loaded everything into the trunk of the Crown. They fit perfectly. The Crown has a big boot. So the car is loaded. Thanks again to Valtteri for the good customer service. Can't wait for the shocks to arrive and to slam the car. It's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A few days later, the long-awaited delivery of the wheels finally arrived in our warehouse, and I immediately opened them up and inspected the condition of the wheels. The delivery included some Japanese spider web, so we definitely needed to clean and polish these wheels up. They were in used condition, not new by any means, but I know that with some elbow grease they will look great. And I already started some preliminary polishing action just for the sake of getting the feel of how the car would look like in the end when everything is perfected. As with all of our street car builds, Maxxis tires from Maxxis Finland are the choice of rubber, and we were lucky to get the newest edition of Victra Sport 6. They are one generation newer than the tires we used in the Audi build. I was already impressed with the drivability of the 5 Series, so I'm expecting big things from the 6. For the widths, we went with 255 in the rear, 225 in the front. I'm a racing driver at heart, so even if the aesthetic side would probably benefit from a little bit more stretching, I want functionality from the tires as well. And of course, why choose a quality tire if you don't use it to its performance? For the trunk setup, instead of using plywood panels like many other would use, we are metal workers. We chose a thick aluminum structure, laser cut and bent to the shape that we need to install all of our equipment in the trunk. We waited a few days for that to arrive from our local laser cutters and then went on to install all the components. The work was straightforward, but there is a lot of fittings, there is a lot of components that we have to make sure are perfectly aligned so that the thing looks symmetrical and also functional, and heat management is also something to take into consideration. But in the end, after a few days of work, everything fit perfectly, and for the first time we were able to start testing how the car goes up and down with its own air system. Installing the air suspension was not quite as simple as getting the old shocks out and putting the new ones in. The height adjustment is something that we had no previous experience about, and in the first attempt we made the shocks way too short. Everything bottomed out way before the car was on the ground on its own weight. So we had to take them out a couple of times and find the right adjustment. In the end, our front shocks are exactly the same height as the original one, which leads to about 10 centimeters of lowering compared to original ride height. At the rear, we are actually 1 centimeter longer than stock shock absorber would be, and it leads to even more lowering than 10 centimeters. So this is something that we had to learn from the air suspension. The air billows, they do not operate like a normal spring, because when there is no air pressure, it goes very deeply inwards. But because we had no previous experience of how deep, we had to find this out the hard way. But now we are a lot wiser, and the next air suspension, we will know how to approach it. When we had the functional trunk setup ready, and all the shocks adjusted to their correct bottom ride heights, all that was left was routing the air lines to all corners of the car from the control unit in the trunk, and that was a couple of hours work finding the perfect routings, and now it is finally time to test the car on the road for the very first time. Do you want to win this car? The Crown giveaway is on. Grumblo together with JDM Outlet are providing one lucky winner, this car, Toyota Crown 2007 with a 3.5 liter V6 engine. All you need to do is go to shop.grumblo.com, check out all of our new merch designs that are quite cool in my opinion, and for the first week you get double entries, 2 entries for every euro you spend. Shop.grumblo.com.
Like that, throw your hands up if you like that. Like that, throw your hands up if you like that. I am the man, what you want me to say? Whipping up stacks up to 2 a day. I'm on a roll, looking like Billy Ray. straight up the stove.
The build is not ready by any means at this point. We still have a lot of work to do with the fitment and ride height. We need to modify the wheel arches in all four corners and lower the car even further. But that is something that we will perfect in the next episodes, as is the sound. We need to modify the exhaust because this car is way too quiet for the sounds of performance that we represent. But I already know that this is going to be an amazing daily driver for any car enthusiast and the perfect contrast to some track or drift oriented build. So when you come back from the track and you sit in the luxurious crown, you will feel right at home, but equally a car enthusiast in your soul. Do remember that you can win this very car at the end of this 5-week campaign. For the first week only, you get double points, 2 entries for the sweepstakes for every euro you spend in the Grumblo shop. In the last Quattro giveaway, we had multiple people in the top 5 at the end of the campaign who had purchased their goods on the first week. So do not miss your opportunity for double points and buy now at shop.grumblo.com.
Number one is my destiny.